What's good, people, and welcome back to the North London Gooner podcast, or the first episode on the new channel, actually, because we moved the stuff from Wayo over to the NLG official channel. So please like and sub. We're doing the evening shift today, the nighttime shift, and I'm joined by Non-Techie. Non-Techie, what are you saying?
All good, bro. It's nice to have another win just to feel like we're back on track after the disappointment that was the Fulham result. But yeah, we keep it moving. How about yourself?
Yeah, honestly, decent, man. I'm doing a midnight shift today, so we're working very late, people. So support us, both of us. We're here late evening. The other bro, France, he's outside. He said we outside, so he'll join us on the next pod. But now, thank you to everyone joining and listening today. We're going to be discussing the Arsenal versus Monaco game, and then moving on to the weekend back in the Prem, where we had a rocky result last weekend at Craven Cottage, and they continue to do a madness on us every season, it seems like, where we're challenging for the title. But anyway, Monaco yesterday, positive results, should have been more, and highlighted some common themes that we've been seeing. But before we touch on any of that, I want to touch on one, Donny. I hope my laptop will share this. This guy, Bukayo Saka, 21 games, 21 goals and assists this season. 14 games in the Champions League, 14 games, goals and assists. Rio Ferdinand, where are you? Where are you? Is this guy not world class? Don't chat to us about Saka. Rich, what did you think of Bukayo Saka yesterday and just his whole season? What have you made of him?
I guess there's not much that's left to say. I think I was scrolling Twitter maybe today or yesterday, and I saw like a feature from Thierry Henry. He might have been speaking on CBS or something like that. And I think he reflected on the time where he trained him when Thierry had a coaching role in the academy. He spoke to him. He spoke about him in good terms, but essentially he didn't realize he'd be the player he is today. But season upon season, he's adding something. And if I'm going to be honest, the Saka that we've seen play from right wing a few seasons ago is not too far from the Saka now, but he's so intentional about adding little elements to his game, little strings to his bow to make him the all-round player. So when he started out, he was giving assists, and he added more assists the season after. Now he's adding goals, and really, in terms of that right wing position in the league, he's probably only really behind players like Salah, like that category of player. So all that's left is for him to have that longevity. He's absolutely incredible. My only criticisms are not of him, it's of like the team and of the management. He needs a player to compete with. He needs a player to have a rest, to give him a rest. And also on that left side, we need something like who's 60% of a Saka. Because unfortunately, it seems like Martinelli and Trossard are trying to race to the bottom sometimes.
Honestly,
so hold down that left side. We'd be a totally different team if we had a threat like Saka on the left.
No, 100%. And I completely back that. And that's a big compliment to Saka to say after Salah. He is literally one of the best wingers in Europe, in the world at the moment, on form, playing at a massive club with a lot of pressure. Let's not forget, post Aubameyang leaving in unforeseen circumstances, he's been carrying since that young boy that Unai Emery gave a chance pretty much till now.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, we've had players in the front line stepping up, but let's keep it 100. If we didn't have Saka this season scoring goals from open play, we wouldn't be anywhere. And I think even sometimes Arsenal fans take for granted how quality this kid. He's not even a kid anymore. They said change it from Starboy to Starman because he's doing it all in the Prem, on the biggest stages. He really is carrying the mantle of the club, and the rest of the players really need to step up. Now, he had a great performance yesterday, 2 goals. He opened the scoring, but let's speak about the rest of the front line. What did you make of the opening 45 minutes? We had a myriad of chances, some absolutely shocking, diabolical FIFA-style misses. I couldn't believe what I was watching sometimes.
As you said, like reflecting on the first half, it was like we were trying not to score. I have not seen like the metrics in terms of XG, but they were high. Let's just speak about who else is in that front line. Sort of on the opposite wing, we spoke about Martinelli. He started with fresh legs. And then there was Gabriel Jesus who got a chance to spearhead the attack. And I guess a lot of the commentary about Jesus is that he's somebody who needs a goal, and he plays and fights like he wants that goal. But in his head, I think he's convinced himself he's not a finisher, and he's not as natural as maybe you'd like him to be when he's through on goal. When you look at players like your Guerreros and your Henrys, they seem to have time, and it seems to be like a foregone conclusion. But the moment they shape up, bang, it's a goal. Jesus looks like he's playing at a level where he's finding that difficult, and it's the strangest thing because his movement's fantastic. I think maybe one of the first chances he was put through on the left side, tried to open up his body, hit the Monaco keeper straight away. The second chance I think he had was a long ball from Kivior, and I think that's the second time I've seen him do it, probably in as many weeks. Gabriel Jesus beats the offside trap, and we have to understand he's still got work to do. But the thing is, he does the initial work so well, you think, yes, we should see the net ripple from here. And if I'm going to be honest, on that opportunity and then the subsequent one, where Martinelli puts him through, then the keeper does well, but I still expect a number 9 at a club like Arsenal to finish. That said, he keeps his head up and he keeps on working. And I guess, if I may, that sort of leads us to the first goal where he provides Saka the assist. And to be honest, out of all the pieces of work, I feel like the assist was probably one of the harder things to do, in the sense he really has to drill that across the goal on his foot, only hands away. He pops it ahead of him, looks up, and then decides, this is the ball I'm flashing across the 6-yard box. And it's put onto Saka's foot where he doesn't even need to break his stride. And I'm like, clearly when it comes to doing work on the flanks, it's instinctive for you. And I just want it to be instinctive for you for in front of goal. And I think where Havertz just seems to just find finishes. Though, in fact, this game is evidence you can whack the ball at Havertz and it will go into the goal. I think Jesus needs to get to that point where if he just sort of breaks the duck, he can start to feel the goals coming along. And I'd love that for him.
Honestly, in fact, let me speak about another player I was actually impressed with yesterday, and I think was linking up with that left side very well. Obviously, against Monaco, we saw Partey drop into right back, who had another very solid game, which allowed Rice to play in the 6, which is always an ongoing debate as to whether we prefer Rice as the left 8 or 6. And we got to see Marino in the left 8, position we probably thought he would be coming in as a Xhaka kind of replacement. Originally, Havertz was probably supposed to be that, ended up going up top. He was a shambles at left 8. Marino was linking up very well. He supplied the ball to Jesus for that goal and was linking up with Martinelli on a few of those balls, either cutting through the defense, or sometimes he was going on the outside to allow Martinelli to move in. How did you find his cameo in linking up the attack as the left 8 yesterday?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I've been watching Marino with intent because, of course, we signed him from Real Sociedad, and he came with, if not high expectation, because I think, like you said, that left 8 position was one we were seeking to fill a gap for. I wasn't necessarily a fan of finding a Xhaka replacement. If anything, I wanted somebody with some of the productivity of an Odegaard, some of that threat, somebody who could sort of be in between spaces and do, as you said, sort of catalyze that left side and make it alive. We speak about that sort of triangle, which was like Ben White, Odegaard, Saka. But we never really had that on the left since Xhaka left. And so Marino's somebody, I know he got injured in the beginning of the season, but since he's come back, I've been trying to work him out. And I think I'm beginning to see, if not what he is, what he does. And I mean that to say, opening up that left flank, when you're sort of a left footer, there are particular angles you naturally pass to. There's a bias in your passing. And I think he tends to like to open up, let the ball run across the body, open up, and then pass to Martinelli. And I think Martinelli is someone who loves the early pass. He doesn't necessarily want the pass to feet and then have to go from a standing start. He wants to move into space, and you saw Martinelli sort of be less on his heels, more the balls of his feet ready to go. So I really like that element. And also, of course, it gives you different angles into your number 9, which is wonderful. And so, it's weird because I see Declan Rice as our long-term number 6. Thomas Partey, interestingly, I think he's one of the better footballers and probably the best 6 we have. His injury record to date up until he needs to renew his contract, though, that has been questionable.
Yeah.
And so I've really been keen to see what Mourinho can do in that left 8 position. And he really impressed me. He was progressive. He didn't get caught on the ball as much. I feel like some of the games in the Prem, people just snapped at him a bit. It reminded me a little bit of like NLG Fam.
Literally.
Yeah. Now I think he's got that yard in his head and he's got the picture in his head as well. And so I think there's a difference and an adjustment coming from La Liga to the Premier League. And I think in midfield, I think one of those adjustments is knowing how much time you have and then knowing what the picture is when you can release that ball. And he's getting there. He's establishing his rhythm, and I really like it.
Honestly, it's like, yeah, the one game like we really free him of defensive duties. It's like exactly. It was like that moment we saw Jacques and we're like, wow, can you really kick ball? Is this the same dummy that you had for 5 years?
Yeah.
Like it was honestly that eureka moment and being like, wow, Arteta might be honestly onto something. And obviously he gave us 2 out of 7 seasons, which was solid, and then went on to go invincible with Xabi Alonso.
Good on him.
Good on him, honestly. Good on him. But okay, yeah, that's Marino and kind of the front line. I wanted to give a shout out to Lewis Skelly, who came in at left back. It honestly astounds me that we signed as many defenders as we did, and we have a defensive injury crisis at the club. Zinchenko, he was available for about 2 games, has gone out injured already. Tesco Tierney's back again. But he's on the bench. You know, shout out Tierney, the unbreakable. But he always breaks down. Skelly comes in this game and he was really tidy. He looked confident at left back. He's obviously a centre mid originally.
Yeah.
But what did you make of his game? And the pass he played for was it Odegaard?
It was for Gabriel Jesus.
Was it Jesus? Yeah.
Did it across the box for Saka's goal.
Yes. Okay.
I've got a lot to say about that if I could.
Yeah. Go on. Go ahead.
It's partly by design, it's partly your fault because our build-up is less like this. There's less verticality to our play. So if you notice that we're not really great on the counters, we're not great in transitions, but often enough we need an Odegaard to sort of play the pre-assist. I think in hockey they actually count them as like hockey assists. It's almost like the pass before the pass. I think your Ozils were good at it, although Ozil was great at assisting. Santi Cazorla, I think like David Silvers of the world, they don't get the stats for like the assists in terms of like just pure direct goal contributions, but those passes can be almost more important than the assists. Because if you think about what Gabriel Jesus had to do for Saka's first goal, admittedly it's a weak foot pass across the goal, but there's no real pressure on him.
Yeah.
The exit point was Miles Lewis-Skelly's directness in that pass. He basically said, take this in your stride.
Exactly.
With the weight of that pass, don't stop it. You're going to beat the defender, and then you either through and goal, you square it to your wide man. Yeah. And that sort of pre-assist, I think Odegaard did it maybe, if not against Fulham in the game prior. And I think just keep on watching out for that. We face so many teams that are not just like deep in terms of numbers, they're defensively disciplined. They don't switch off. They'll rather step off you and force you into a mistake than go man for man. And you know what? If you go back and watch the goal, it's so funny because it's Odegaard who plays for Lewis Skelly. So when we're in build-up, we're back 3 of like Kivior, Saliba, and Partey. And Lewis Skelly joined Rice in midfield, so it's like a 3 then a 2.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is Odegaard plays this ball into Lewis Skelly. It's not a dead ball. It's not like hospital pass, but it's not quite fizzed into him. Yeah. So Lewis Skelly takes like a slightly dodgy touch.
Yeah.
He almost draws his man in, so he slightly dodgy, yes, but then he takes control of it, whizzes past it, and then fizzes the ball into Jesus.
Yeah.
And when I heard in the commentary that once Saka scored, everybody went back to separate Miles Lewis-Skelly, and I think they appreciate just how good that pass was, because as much as good as Gabriel's pass or Saka's intuitiveness and desire to sort of sniff that sort of opportunity and break the deadlock, it was that sort of ingenuity under pressure, sort of having the streetwiseness to get yourself out of it, and then playing a quality ball forward that really took us, just took us into lead essentially. And so, I loved it. It's not just that he's an academy player or he's one of our own, or that he's young. I do like to see that kind of inventiveness on the pitch.
100%. No, the maturity to kind of play that inverted fullback role, but then also to avoid that challenge where the ball from Odegaard put him in danger, as you said.
Yeah.
And the it's not just how good the pass was. There's so many players for us that play that left 8 role that just won't make that pass. And
No.
also maybe not even the run would have been made, but even if the run would have been made, we wouldn't take the risk with that pass.
Mhm.
Jesus holds his line well, but he easily could have been offside if that was played a second later. So the right weight behind it, great play by Lewis Skelly again, like you said, to join Rice in midfield, and you can tell he looked very comfortable yesterday, and Odegaard too. Now, what's coming to light even in yesterday's performance, we had as the stats show, and we can have a look at them here: 16 shots, 8 shots on target. It was a 3-0 win. Monaco missed chances, by the way; they could have converted.
Could you zoom in on this as well?
Yes, let me zoom in for all the watchers so you lot can see it.
Wonderful.
So let me just go here. Yeah. So we had 16 shots, 8 on target. And I feel like we could have had 5-6 goals. And yet again, it feels like we were off the mark. What do you think we have to do to get us to be more creative? Do you think maybe we actually play Marino more as a left 8? Do you think that can help in the Prem, help us try and unlock some balance, and not be over reliant on Saka's side? Meanwhile, Martinelli and Trossard are having a mid off. They don't know which one wants to claim the position. So will that help bring more balance, or do you think it's more of a rotational thing? Because we need something, I think, to take wins till January. Otherwise, I think we're in I think already the title hopes are in jeopardy. So, yeah, what do you think we do?
Yeah, I mean, with Liverpool not playing last weekend, we had an opportunity to really reduce that deficit and at least get the points on board, even though Liverpool would have had a game in hand. And we failed to do so. All we could muster is a draw against what's seemingly our bogey team. If you ask me the question about what we can do to be more creative, I think there's two things. Part of it is, like you touched on, about personnel. But I do believe this team has it in them, or Arteta has it within him, to sort of relinquish some of the principles with which he wants to play football, to have some of that verticality and introduce some of that chaos. I think what we try to do is, I don't think we play to make these metrics look good, but if you look at metrics like entries into the final third, entries into the box, field tilts, XG, all of those like metrics that maybe you don't see in like these overarching stats. We dominate them, and normally the teams that dominate them tend to have like higher shot production and tend to win games.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to just play that like pass that will just bypass the midfield and really throw the opposition's tactics off. And so like when I watched Liverpool in particular, it's not just that they're league leaders, they've been playing like this since Klopp was their manager. You can just sense like a directness in the way they run at people. They have a lot of the composure now that Arsenal do, but they know, like, for example, when we are playing around the back and drawing teams onto us, they know to leave Salah high and wide or Nunes high and wide so that when they can actually fit into midfield, they will bypass 2-3 passes just to get it 30-40 yards up the pitch.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably no better example of that than maybe Lewis Skelly's passing to Jesus for the first goal, and just how much it can cause danger. And in fact, anytime we really fashion good opportunities, Kivio's ball over the top, bypassed everyone. It was a great run from Jesus. I think Odegaard's high press was another opportunity that he missed, but there were so many opportunities that were not a consequence of us being delicate in our build-up in the final third. It was just saying, hey, let's think about how to put people in those gaps and have runners off them and be direct. And I think sometimes it's through coaching or maybe through players wanting to be comfortable, we have a reluctance to really go for the more creative option. I have no qualms if a player like Odegaard is playing a bit more risky into runners, if it means we're crashing the box and fashioning chances. So I think I'd rather have that than change personnel so much because we're so short of numbers as it is.
Okay, so you'd rather him be a bit more free roam.
We've done it. We did it. I think 2 seasons ago. My memory sort of fogs up now, but the season we had the black kit with the bronze lettering, We had signed Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko that year. And it was a season where essentially every team we played, we would just go for it like early to slugging. And we were scoring goals quite freely. And albeit like we petered out partway through the season, let's be honest. But I think there's a middle ground. And I think what we've done is we've regressed for complete control. And I think there are moments within the games we can actually say that the team's looking a bit vulnerable. Yeah, or they probably worked out our press, let's bypass it. There was no need for Kivior to launch it 60 yards up the pitch yesterday, but he found Jesus. And Jesus, whilst he had work to do, he fashioned a high-quality chance. And so I think that just exemplifies you can pick and choose your moments within matches. And also, it pushes you up the field anyway. So, yeah, if we're going to go about it, we need more weapons in our armory than just maybe the tangential passes. We need verticality to our play as well.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. And we'll come to do a lineup builder as well. So definitely, people who are watching, listening, let us know how you would line up as well, especially going into the weekend against Everton, and then so we'll discuss a bit about that game. Okay, now we're going match against Everton, the team Liverpool should have played, but didn't play obviously last weekend. We're currently sitting in third, 2 points behind Chelsea, third in the Champions League group as well. In fact, quickly, Champions League, we're pretty much, I think if we beat Girona, we're pretty much guaranteed to be through. What are your expectations of Arteta this season for the Champions League run? Before we go on to Everton.
It sounds really weird, but I think for where we are now, I'd expect us to at least like reach for the semis and have a realistic chance of getting to that final. I don't think there's any real team we feel we should fear or feel like, if we're drawn against them, it will be problematic. I think the second part of it is we currently sit in the top 8 teams that automatically qualify to the round of 16.
Yeah.
So we'll save ourselves should we beat Girona. We'll save ourselves the undesirable outcome of having to play an additional 2 games and hopefully be fresher against whatever team we play in the round of 16. So that's my expectation. And I don't really listen to the noise about, he's been in the role for 5 years. I think we're a team that's been making slow and steady progress, that we could actually be wasting an opportunity to go for sustained success if we listen to the external noise. I think when you've been here 5 years, if we spend 800 million, you need to go. Slot's going to be coming, and he's essentially got the same team. Slot's done amazingly. Liverpool's done amazing, but they're not us. This is our story. But I do expect a major trophy. And I think, as strange as it sounds, the Champions League being a knockout competition may be more realistic than the Premier League at this juncture.
Yeah. And I completely agree. I honestly think we need to reach I actually expect us to reach the final, and I think we should do. And I know it's not a given in this competition. It's a new format. I think the style of European football suits us more, where we have more space to play.
True.
And when we're on our day, we can really exploit that. And I think we've seen that in the 4 out of 5 wins we have in the Champions League format. Teams like Real Madrid are way towards the bottom. They might not even qualify for those group stages. Round of 16. They might not qualify for round of 16. So Man City as well, probably not going to make it. So this is a massive opportunity now. Arsenal have had many massive opportunities from Wenger all the way to Arteta, and we seem to bottle them every time. But I'm going to say this now. I'm with you. I actually really expect I'll be disappointed if we don't make the semi-finals or finals. And I think with the performance of people like your Sakas, the cameos we're getting from, your Skellys and your Marinos coming in, Havertz, who got a goal yesterday, even though just rolled off him into the back of the net. I think we need these players to get a grip and we're taking something away this year. If we're not taking anything away and we're letting Liverpool run with this slot football, slot machine ball, I'll be extremely disappointed. So anyway, that's enough on that.
It's a weird space because I think this is a competition, so there's no need to be like feeling any empathy or sympathy for any other teams. I would be really disappointed if Liverpool won the league this year. 100%. But at the same time, they've been knocking about trying to beat Man City. They pushed them to new limits and new heights. And if they should win it this year, it won't necessarily because it would be because Man City's fallen off. Don't get me wrong, but I think we wouldn't have done what we should have done ourselves.
100%.
I think I'd be more mad at that than mad at Liverpool. And Liverpool have been in this position. I think Liverpool had to see out, lose out to City on like, I don't know, a point or two. I think we've done it based on 2 points as well. I think City have reached 100 points like that. Those were the heights they were reaching. But what that shows me is that football can ebb and flow and it can change. And I think I'm really hoping for trophies this season. But it doesn't mean that our story won't end with this manager, with this group, with the trophy.
Yeah. And I completely agree. Like, let's call a spade a spade. I'll definitely be mad disappointed in us, especially because, again, let's not forget Liverpool were there up until the latter stages of last season.
Yes, they were.
They were. People forget this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just an Arsenal City 2-horse race. You know, Liverpool were in it, but we were doing what was necessary to get the goals in from January onwards, where Havertz was helping out, Saka was doing this thing, Odegaard was doing this thing, and we need to revive that spirit in this team. So we go back into the Premier League against Everton. What are your thoughts on the game? And do you reckon we can close out December with all wins going into January?
Yeah, I definitely reckon we can. The Fulham result still irks me, not just because of the points we left on the pitch, but I think I said in a previous pod, this run in towards the end of December, I don't think it has us leave London. Yes. I may be wrong on that.
No,
so essentially, we're not traveling. We have time to recuperate. We have time to at least do the tactical elements of training. And I don't think really there are too many teams that I'd say, oh, this is sticky. Again, if we falter in our running, it will be our own undoing. That's all I have to say about that, really. Yeah. So just it looks like, okay, Everton Saturday, we discussed EFL quarterfinal with Crystal Palace, we're at home. Then we play Crystal Palace in the league. And then we play Ipswich Town at home the day after Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are all beatable teams. And I don't even say that in a complacent way. I think our form, our history, our league position just shows like we are a superior side. We should be beating these sides.
Yeah, 100%. We really should be. And I think we're at home. As you said, we're like at home in terms of, as you said, pretty much in London or not far. We're not traveling. We've done what we needed to do in the Champions League. The pressure should be off enough. When the pressure's on Arsenal, I feel like we tend to crumble. The pressure should be off enough in the sense that we're now the chasers. We're now the hunters, not the hunted. We've done our job in the Champions League now. We really need to double down on this. And look, Everton are going to defend deep and try probably catch us on counters or exploit spaces. But I think a home win would be really good for our position in the league going into the weekend. Who do you reckon are the key kind of danger areas or danger men in the team that we can utilize against an Everton side? You reckon this weekend, or who would you want to see step up to the plate, especially for players maybe who haven't been performing at their best level?
Yeah, I have a feeling the midfield we saw against Monaco is probably odds on to be the midfield we see against Everton.
Okay.
I think one of my criticisms about this team is it's a positive thing, don't get me wrong, the set pieces, right? We use them to great effect, but sometimes I think if you take those set pieces out of those games, you realize we've been like held to like a stalemate in those games. And a lot of the time is because the midfield probably hasn't found our forward line with the right type of quality or frequency. And so I really want to see the type of inventiveness we saw against Monaco, against Everton, because we know how these, like you said, they'll defend deep, they'll be full-blooded in their challenges, they will go man for man. And I don't think we can rely on set pieces, particularly because it's just, it just feels like a bonus, if anything. And also Gabriel, our centre-back Gabriel, may not play. And so, I think the main men will be, for me, Marino and Odegaard, and I'm hoping Marino's found a sense of just the player he really is in this league.
Yeah, honestly, I would actually do the same. And with that seamless transition, let's do lineup builder actually. So obviously Timber came on against Monaco in the latter stages of the game. Obviously, Partey started at right back. Would you bring Timber back into this game? Like, how would you line up this back four? Basically, who would you have at left back? And what would you do in terms of right back?
You've asked a flipping hard question. So actually, I don't know if you noticed, like in the run up to the Monaco game, it was just really unclear if we'd even have the left side of defense because apart from Tilly, like Zinchenko, Calafiori, Gabriel, they were all out basically.
Gone.
I might do a really awkward and annoying thing and maybe put a couple of square pegs around holes and put Timber at left back.
Okay.
It's not so much of a square peg. Timber has played there multiple times for us, and he understands the position. He's great at inverting. But the right back, I think I'd go for. I love how there are two Timbers here.
I know.
It's probably Thomas Partey again.
Okay. Now, and what do you say to the criticism of people? People were not happy about Partey filling in at right back against Fulham because they felt like it disrupted the triangle and relationship that Timber quickly acclimatized to between Timber, Odegaard, and Saka. And they felt like maybe putting Partey at right back and taking him out of midfield. I think it was a combination of the two rather than actually Partey this season fitting in at right back. It's actually been pretty decent.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of our open play, kind of the overlapping runs, people maybe criticize Arteta's decision to do that against Fulham. So would you still go with Partey at right back in the circumstance that let's assume we have the same problem at Fulham and Everton are just defending super deep? Would you want to, create that imbalance?
Yeah, it's really, really tricky. The short answer, there's no optimal solution. But I think what we've seen with Partey at right back is his ability to be a bit adaptive. I think what you don't get with him in terms of legs and overlapping, and let's be honest, even when Ben White plays, he doesn't overlap so much. Even when Timber plays, he doesn't overlap so much. They pick and choose their moments. They're not like Danny Alves's, you know what I mean? Like they tend to occupy that position maybe just behind Odegaard so that they can recycle the ball. And that tends to be maybe 70% of the position that Partey will occupy as well. So I don't mind that too much. So if that hypothesis is true, I think what Partey then gives you over Timber and White in that position is the ability to really be sort of progressive in the passing and keep a high tempo.
Very true.
He's got a variety of passes as well. He's press resistant. And so in a game where I expect Everton to defend deep and in a system where I think nominally we look like a back four. If you ever watch a build-up play, we're never a back four. It may make sense for Partey to step into midfield anyway.
Makes sense. And to be fair, I actually agree. I think Partey stepping into midfield and Timber trying to give an extra man higher up the pitch on the left side, I might actually prefer. So let's stick with that back four in that case. CDM, you going Rice or Marino? Or you going with the same exact three from Monaco as you mentioned earlier?
Same three. Yeah.
And I like it. Honestly, I think, Rice has said it as well. Like, he's happy to play both positions, but I think we can clearly see he, as he mentioned, is better and more natural in that CDM. Like, he just is.
For me, that left 8 role, he's largely getting cardio. Whereas I think he's so like physically and mentally suited to that number 6. He's done it for West Ham for countless years. He's done it for England. It feels like he just stamps out danger there. In fact, one of the biggest compliments to him in that position is, it's really weird to say this, he doesn't look that busy, but if you ever watch him as a 6, you realize because nobody wants to duel him, nobody wants to pass by him because he's always occupying lanes. He always looks like he's got like an extra like step to take, and so it's a big compliment to him because he's so dominant in that 6 role. That could be his position for the next 5 years.
Honestly, and I think so. I think if Marino steps up to be what maybe Arteta has seen in him, I think he has and always will be a 6 that can be versatile for a left 8. I think to your point, agree. I think when Partey, it's time to move him on. we will end up seeing Rice, I think, in the 6, because replacing those two, that skill set is not easy to come by in football. Honestly, that skill set to teach, to be able to screen, cut off passing lanes, make interceptions, and then Partey's additional, especially Partey's skill set, not just that stuff, but drilling passes, cutting open midfields, and letting play be dictated and progress. Yeah, different gravy. Different
gravy, yeah, totally.
Okay, so we've gone for this midfield. The front two, the mid-off championships, Havertz or Jesus, and Martinelli or Trossard. What do we do here against an Everton team that, they're going to be very defensive?
It really is a mid-off, isn't it? It gives me Havertz. I just think Jesus has done well, but he hasn't quite done enough. Not even just in terms of his end product, but Havertz just seems to have a better sense of where to be for that one-touch finish. Whereas Jesus kind of has the let me be in the channels and be that chaos factor. So I think I would start with Havertz and then have the option to have Jesus come in for Havertz should we need it, or maybe come in for like a midfielder or a centre back should we need another body up front. With something a bit different to Havertz, but yeah, Havertz is the one for me. And it's a shame Havertz comes on and scores like seemingly knowing very little about where the ball was going in midweek, and so yeah, he starts for me.
Yeah, okay. And then on the left, obviously Martinelli played yesterday. He was okay, he was decent, but again missed some like silly chances and was doing silly things again. What would you do between him and Trossard yesterday? Trossard also had some like shameless moments.
I really don't know. Like it's really weird because anytime Martinelli plays, I think what you're begging for is like somebody of like Trossard's quality to sort of knit passes together, occupy spaces in between defenders, have the threat for goal and maybe the quality on the finish. A bit of style about him. But then when Trossard starts, you're begging for someone with pace to stretch the wing.
Exactly. It's so true.
And it's like there are totally times I'm like, I think Trossard is like the better overall footballer if you're talking like attributes, apart from maybe the physical element. But then Martinelli gives you a bit of like threat where defenders maybe don't want to overcommit going forward.
Yeah.
I think Martinelli starts,
Honestly, I'm gonna say something. This guy's moving like when Usain Bolt signed for Dortmund, bro. He's a pace merchant. He's an absolute pace merchant. Like he's not. It's exact. Honestly, you've hit the nail on the head. Literally, when pace merchant Martinelli is playing, you wish he had more technique. This guy just does heel to heel and looks down at the floor and then gets dispossessed.
His head.
Or sometimes he'll carry the ball back towards our defense and back into midfield without making a pass.
Yeah.
And you're just like, anyway, let's go Martinelli. We're throwing Martinelli in. Do you know one thing I'd like to try before we round this up? I've always wanted to try Jesus at left 8.
Yeah.
And see how that works. Because I feel like he could cause chaos on that side for Martinelli to run in behind if we wanted to use that as leverage and let him be a bit free flowing like the way Odegaard can be on that right 8 side. I don't know if it would work, but maybe more suited for like a Champions League game and less a Prem game, but it's something I'd want to try.
Yeah, and he's the carrier of the ball, and I think we don't have that sort of profile, particularly not from that 8 position. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think Martinelli just about shades it for me. It's a shame because Trossard really is an interior player.
He is.
Our system just doesn't give him the space or the opportunity to do that.
No, it doesn't. Okay, people. Well, this is the lineups. Raya in goal, Partey at right back again, Saliba and Kivior centre backs, whilst Gabriel is out. Timber going to left back, Rice in his much suited CDM role, Odegaard and Marino either side in the 8s, Saka, Havertz, and Martinelli as our forwards. Shout out to Starboy Saka. These are the squads. Let us know in the comments what you think about this lineup. Would you stick with the same lineup? Would you change Timber to right back and maybe put Partey back in his position in CDM? Last but not least, people, let's hope we can get a win on the weekend against Everton and pick our heads up, lift our heads up, and just continue game after game. Rich, match prediction: Everton at home on Saturday. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm seeing 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah, I think this is the part of the season we start to establish our rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for 2-0.
Okay. I'm gonna go 3-0 Arsenal.
You always go further than I do.
I feel like I always go 3-0 in it. I feel like we're gonna blitz it. I feel like we're gonna blitz it. I feel like it should be a good game. Again, pressure's off. We seem to thrive in those environments. So yeah, let's get it, people. Let us know your thoughts down below. And thank you for tuning in. Non-techie, any last thoughts? What are you saying?
Now I'm just really interested to see how things pan out. But yeah, our position in the Champions League, we've done well. It's making me hopeful. We'll see the round of 16, but we really should be aiming for the semis minimum.
Yeah, semis minimum. Prem, we need to step our game up and hopefully make some signings in Jan. But we'll wrap up there, people. Have a good rest of the evening, and we'll catch you after the weekend in a bit.
Take care.